There we go. Coming back. How do I get that? How do I hide that? There we go. Hi, everybody. Woohoo! Welcome back to the Better Together Homestead live stream brought to you by Shed to House, our Facebook group. It's actually sponsored by United Portable Buildings, which I will talk about them later. You guys, hi. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while because last week was the 4th of July, and you got it. Just no apologies, but I guess I'm sorry. Just I meant to put a post up to say that we're not going to have the live stream last week. We're going to have it this week. Have a baby, and there you go. But today we're talking about a lot of cool things. I have some questions that y'all answered, that you asked over in the last live stream. So I'm going to be able to cover some of those right now. Definitely start thinking of the questions that you have for us, for all things shed to house, small house, tiny house, all things small house, big land living. I should act. Why didn't I have that up? I need to have that up right now. Let me do that. So, so while I'm pulling this up, please head over to the chat and let me know who you are and where you are watching from. I'm excited to hang out with y'all tonight. I hope, I'm going to text her. I hope that Kelly and Georgia are going to be able to join us. I hope so. So I'm going to tell you something here in just a moment. Are you still able to come later? So you guys, I cannot believe this. Who lives in the South and who is having a hard summer already with no rain, with just extreme heat? Y'all, I think it was probably the second week of June was the first week that we hit 100 degrees. That's crazy for us. Usually we'll have about 8 weeks in the summer where we will not get any rain. And around like in August, we'll hit some triple digits here and there. But it's usually in August where we will get, like 10 days straight of triple digits. It's been, I don't even know. I think it's probably been over 3 weeks of 100 plus degree days here in Texas. So what I'm going to show you right now, I'm taking all of the whining and I'm just taking it into rejoicing of letting you know why we are behind. Check this out. This is so cool. You guys, it rained for like 45 minutes. I don't know if you can see, you don't see my mouse right now, but you can just see my balding head almost, just my wet hair. And I mean, it was like I was taking a shower. I was loving it. I wanted to share a video with you, but it shows that I have to export it as an MP4 somehow, and I don't know how to do that. I mean, I know how to do it, but I can't do it right now because I'm doing the live stream. I'll try to check over on Instagram, and you'll see that. So anyway, I was just out there, just soaked. I had my arms out on the garden bed. 45 minutes of rain, and it was good rain. It was decent. It wasn't like great rain, but it was the perfect kind of like God blessing you and just showing you, hey, don't give up. It's not like you will have everything you need. I think this rain, of course, it didn't do anything to rehydrate the ground, but what I think it did is it raised the spirits of all of the living creatures on my property. So the chickens, the pigs, the cows, they all came out and just loved on the rain. The kids, like our family, was out there, and you could just tell like every mammal, every frog, everything was soaking up this rain. It freaks me out. So not good. We're going to talk about some good stuff here in a bit. Definitely over in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. We're going to cover some questions here in a bit. But you guys, we just now picked up from my neighbor a half a cow, so half a steer that we bought from him. We have Goldie, our milk cow, and then we have Buttercup, our Jersey heifer, that will probably sell because she's I don't know. She's a little skittish, and I don't know currently if we have enough time or really I don't know time or care to like work with her, and so we'll probably sell her, and the then we have Taco, our steer calf that we're having. So we bought half a cow, half a steer from a neighbor, and whenever I went to go pick it up from the butcher, he said that he has land all over that land that he leases, and he says that he took 1,500 head of cattle, 1,500 head of cattle to the auction. And the reason why he had to do that was because there wasn't enough grass for the cows to eat. So he had 3,000 head of cattle. He cut it in half and took 1,500 head of cattle to the auction. That's just they're gonna go straight to a CAFO, to a feedlot. Unfortunately, but there was nothing he could do. They were gonna die. Like the cows were gonna die out at his leased farms because there wasn't enough grass to eat because it has not rained for that long here in Texas. It's scary. It's weird. So anyway, there's the rant over. We got a little bit. Show once again. Happy Bo, just standing out in the rain. Happy kids in the background. All right, let's get on with it. Okay, so let's see. Estimate 1987. Estimated 1987 says suburb. I don't know what that means. God Family Country says that's our plan. Hi JP. Thank you so much, JP, on the congrats for little Georgia. Martin in Iowa. Ready, Set, Homestead. I like that name, Ready, Set, Homestead. I like that. North Houston. Woohoo! We were from Katy, Texas. So that's where Kelly and I were living for the first of our marriage. Blessings for the new baby. Martin, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Martin. I know about hot. Oh, Richmond, Texas. Yep. You know, Richmond, Texas. Again, Katy, Texas right there. God, family, and country. God's always blessing his. He promised to never leave us nor forsake us. Absolutely. All of our needs. Chris says from Maryland, congrats on the baby. Woo. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's see. Okay. So real quick, before y'all forget, just letting you know that this live stream is sponsored by United Portable Buildings. United Portable Buildings, y'all, it is I just cannot express how awesome United Portable Buildings is. It is this building, that we're sitting in our studio. We just keep on thinking every time we're in here. Our niece is actually staying here to be able to help us watch the kids so that we can get some things going. And it is so awesome that we have a building that is built to the highest quality. Our house is having some trouble. But this building is solid as a rock. It is awesome, and it is a United Portable Building. The main house is not a United Portable Building house. This one is. It is just high quality, the best customer service. So definitely check them out. I'm going to put here in the chat, I'm going to put a link that you can go and you can build your shed to studio, your shed, and you'll be able to get a full estimate price there. So go check that out. Okay, so let me know down in the chat any questions that y'all have. If you put them in all caps, then I'll definitely be able to find them easy, and then I'll star them, and then I'll bring it up. Okay, so This is in last week's question. So someone says, let's see, first. So he said he has two questions. First, you mentioned in another video, I think, the title, "The 6 Things to Buy When to Consider When Buying Raw Land." I think he's thinking the 6 mistakes to avoid when buying raw land, I assume. You mentioned something about being at least close to city water hookups. I know that we use rainwater, but are you also connected to water currently for emergencies? Second, permits and zoning. How much of a headache was it? Okay, so he's talking about water, and I guess in that video I said to definitely have some way to hook up to water. I would say, so we have rainwater right now, but we're not hooking rainwater up to our house. So really, the rainwater we use for irrigation of our gardens and for our animals sometimes, but really for our garden mostly. And before we hook it up to the house, we're going to need a lot of filtration to be able to do that, which I think someday we will. Kelly and I briefly have talked a little bit, especially during this drought, like we've talking about, is that I would want some sort of natural water stream or some sort of natural body of water. If it's not just a pond, like a pond would be minimum, and then to have, so if I bought another property, a pond would be minimum. Then I would have, if it didn't have that, then I would have a well. Probably I would want like a well to be like absolute, no matter what, on both ends, is to have a well. And then, so a well minimum. Then the next thing that I would want was be a pond. Then the next thing I would want was maybe to be closer to like some sort of lake or something to where you could go fishing at. Then the next one would be having some sort of wet weather creek. Then above that is, an all season creek or stream or something like that. That would be killer, to be able to have some sort of natural water. So what you're asking, what was his name? Carl, if you're watching this again. Carl, what you're asking, I would say that you definitely would want a well. If you can't do a well, then figure out some sort of rainwater. But it's having a well, man. It's an easy button right there. I know that, but I would also say, even with your well, try to re-infiltrate as much water into the aquifers as you can. So use the well that comes up to where your well never goes dry. Be a good steward of the land and have either swales or mulch or anything that can reduce runoff of your property. Try to capture as much water. Pocket ponds that I love. Do a pocket pond, fill it up with some wood chips. That's going to be a sponge that's just going to go in there. It's going to soak up the water and be able to recharge the aquifer, which is recharging your well. He also said a second question, permits and zoning, how much of a headache was it? What we talk about a lot of the times is, especially in our book, Get Off Your Talent Homestead, is talk about just zoning kind of, but mainly to where, so if you have, man, I wish I had a graphic for it, but basically you have a circle, which is the county. There you go. Like circle, like it's the county. And then, so big county like this. And then you have a city. And then you have, so like here's a small city. So you have the big county and then a small city. You want to basically be on the outside of that inner circle. You want to be on the outside of the city, but within a county. That way you have less restrictions for everything, because the city usually is going to add more restrictions, because that's what every government does. You see our shirt? Grow gardens, not government. Growing gardens, bigger gardens is good. The bigger the government, all it's going to do is just put in more restrictions. There is no government that has ever grown. Like, that's the thing. It's so bizarre. It's so crazy. This is going to be a little bit of a rant, but I'm sorry. Here we go. We're just going to rant it up a little bit. So get ready. Governments are going to only want to increase. No organization, no business, no nonprofit, no government is going to want to decapitate itself. No organization, no government, whatever, nothing is going to think, you know what? The best thing that we should do this year, we should have a goal for firing everybody. We should have a goal for doing less things, because it doesn't make sense to do that. An organization can't do that. Business is business, and business must grow. Business must grow. It's the exact same thing. That's from what's that from? Put in the Dr. Seuss book or movie if you knew what that's from. I'm curious to know if any. Business is business, and business must grow. Or maybe it's just the same. But anyway, so here's the deal with government. So you know they must grow no matter what. Then with that, you have the federal government, then you have the state government, then from the state government you have the county government, from the county government you have city government, then from the city government you have HOAs. The HOA cannot undo the laws that the city has put in. The city cannot undo the laws that the county has put in. The county cannot do the laws that the state has put in. The state cannot do the laws that the national government has put in. So what I'm saying by this, not trying to get political, it's just talking about governments and how it works. That's all I'm saying. Not being political, just stating facts of how this works, going back to zoning and building codes. Permits and zoning is what the guy was talking about. So this is my point. I'm coming back to this, so I'm not getting political. Is that as those governments get smaller and you get to the people that you're going to have to talk to about a permit or zoning, the only thing that a smaller government can do in order to keep growing is they have to, since they can't grow by taking laws away, by taking restrictions away, the only thing that they can grow to do is by adding more restrictions. That's it. So that's why I'm saying you live in the county but outside of the city, because there's less zoning and less permits and less building restrictions and less animal restrictions and less all restrictions as much as you can. That is the only way that you can actually live in this country and have the most freedom possible. Does that make sense? I'm going to go check I know that was a rant. I want to follow up with that to make sure that everybody fully understands that there's only one way that you can live in this country where you have the most freedom, and that is living in a county outside of the city. I don't think that there's any land. Y'all, let me know. I could be completely wrong. Is there property in this country that is not within a county? That is probably something I should have said before I put my big foot in my mouth. So I don't know. So let me know. Is there a state that doesn't have a county? Like, is there state land that you can live in that you're not actually living inside of a county? I don't think that that's possible, but let me know. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to scroll because I want to see if I'm stupid. Wells are expensive. Whoa, we're talking about wells. I'm going to come back for that. let's see. Okay, it looks like everybody's on board with that. Don't get me started. Okay, it looks like we're doing good. Okay, everybody, this is the right crew here. That's good. So there's nobody saying that I'm wrong. Okay, so I think we killed that cat enough. So let's see. Um, sorry, I got this little bit of a cough. That's weird. Okay, so Jerry says filtration and maybe UV. Absolutely. If you do rainwater, you're going to need some sort of treatment. Absolutely. Great comment, Jerry. Okay, so God, Family, and Country said that whales are expensive around 20,000. Yes, they are. Now, they're not always that expensive. There's depending on how deep you need to go. Like our well, if we got a well here, we'd have to go 900 feet down to be able to get clean water. Supposedly, one of my neighbors, the same guy who I bought this half of a cow from, he said that he thinks that he can hit a shallow aquifer, a shallow well at around 30 feet. So I'm gonna, if he wants to try it, then I might go to his place and film he and I trying to build a shallow well. I don't know. That would be amazing. Even if we never drink it, if it's just rotten egg smell, we can still I'll still use it for irrigation. Totally. Okay, so you also said got to do a land survey first. You're on engineering to see. Yes, absolutely. To be able to see if you can get groundwater, you would need to be able to do that. That's why I'm saying. I'm not saying that I wouldn't live in a. I'm not saying that I'm 100% going to put a well here. I'm saying if I needed to buy another property, then that property that I would purchase would already have a well on it. Does that make sense? Like, I think I would make 100% sure I want this property because there's already a well on it and I can have this well inspected. So that's what I was meaning. That was my point. Wow. William is saying $45,000 for a well. My goodness. Maybe I need to dig a well. Yo, that is some crazy prices. I did not know that. Man. Wow, that's terrible. Okay. Oh, Jerry said aren't well at least somewhat regulated and expensive up front. They are very expensive up front. We were just talking about that. I don't know. I don't think they're not in Texas, not in my part, not in my county. The wells are not regulated. I mean, I don't think so. Maybe you have to have. Maybe we'd have to get one permit to be able to get it, but I don't think we do. Okay, you're saying that you're saving money for a well. Now is best option. Absolutely. Hey, Matthew, good to see you, man. Thank you, Matthew. Oh, woo! You like the shirt? Here, I'll try to while I'm talking. I'll try to find this real quick. See, it wasn't working the other day. So I'm going to try to see if I can get y'all a link to this. I just think it's cool that I got a store that you can buy a shirt straight from. I just think that's really awesome. I don't know if you can do it on mobile for some reason. Maybe you can only do it on a desktop or a laptop, but it's right there. Just put it in. So it's basically just go to our YouTube channel and then, well, actually you're on our YouTube channel. Just find the store and you can click on the store and then you should be able to buy any kind of shirt. There's like tons of colors on it. We love just grow gardens, not government. It's awesome. Okay. So Jerry says, love the shirt. Actually use pesticide on governments. Shrink them. I like it. Okay. Oh, Koala Cat. Thank you so much for the super chat, super sticker. That's neat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay. Jerry says, don't get me started on all the districts and regulations that there are. What about all the water districts, utility districts, school districts? School is the worst with all their overlaid. Yeah, 100%. Yep. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's see. Martin says, We sit on top of an underground river with a standpoint at 16 foot. The water tests better than those city water. That's amazing. That is what we use. Wow. Yes. See, like that would be killer. Then you can do things like that and not be hurt as much in a drought. So we're doing what we can. I've actually just now learned. I'm gonna find this. I'm watching it right now. It's a little bit long, and unfortunately the quality, the cinematography of it isn't the best. Hold on real quick. I think you might hear it for a second. So let me cancel that. Then go here. This is from Jeff Lawton, and it's about him greening the Jordan Desert. So hit that link to a new tab and then save it to watch it later and then come back here so you don't miss anything. Okay. And but it's a cool video where he's talking about like he's creating an oasis in the desert. And I think he's been doing it for like the last 10 years. It's really, really cool. He uses mesquite a lot. So I'm interested to do that again. We have a lot of mesquite here, and I know I didn't take them all out, but I took some of them out. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, I don't know the name of this because I cropped it too much. So sorry. She said, she's saying, so I guess I said in a question on a topic last week or last two times ago about that I would have bought a tractor right away. So what would we do if we had to do it again? I would have bought a tractor a lot sooner. She says, would we still make a tractor a priority if most of the land is already cleared? And then what tractor do you think is good? In terms of what tractor I think is good, I really like my Kubota L2501. It is the smallest tractor that I think it is worth spending money on. I think the small ones are just a waste of money. The subcompact. So I have a compact tractor. A subcompact is basically a lawnmower on steroids. To me, it makes no sense at all to buy one of those subcompact tractors. The only reason why I think it would make sense is if you had 100+ acres and you already had a big giant tractor. So you already had a big workhorse tractor and you had a ton of money and you just wanted to maintain the 1 or 2 acres around your house. Then sure, you could get a little teeny tiny dinky tractor, subcompact tractor, and use that around your house because they are more mobile. You can be able to get in between things a little bit better. But my goodness, I am far underweight on my current tractor. It's perfect. It's perfect. In terms of pricing, the only thing I wish I would have gotten is a grapple. I should have gotten the grapple, but honestly, that would have been another $1,500 for us to install it. And I was trying to save money, but I'm going to have someone come and pick it up to be able to do it anyway. So I don't know. Maybe I can get Kubota to sponsor and just come pick it up. Okay. So that's that. So in terms of talking about, would you get a tractor if the land was already cleared? I would say maybe. Yeah. I'd say I'm 50-50 on that answer. I am not 0%. Before, I would have always said, this whole homesteading journey for mine came up with me reading a whole bunch of Mother Earth news magazines. So who all put in the chat, who likes Mother Earth news magazine, and put in the chat when you first started reading Mother Earth news magazines, about homesteading type magazines. And so in those magazines, you always see these ads of like the walk behind tractor. So there's always these cool machines that you just walk behind, which would be cool. It'd be neat. Like it actually has like a bucket on it. I mean, it would be a fun little thing. Or talking about any kind, using the wheelbarrow instead of a tractor, all this stuff. man, and that's what I thought. I was like, I never want to have a tractor. I was very opposed to having a tractor. But man, now that I have it and know how much time I'm saving, it's just absolutely, I would buy it. I would buy the tractor. Totally. Because it's so helpful for so many things. It's just the best. I love this tractor. I really, really do. Okay, let's go back. Okay, I'm gonna get some the chat, and then I'll come back for a couple more questions. Let me know if y'all have questions as well, because I can answer some of that live. I'd rather answer your live questions right now while you're here. Okay. Matthew said, never realized how blessed we were in Southeast Texas with the abundance of reservoirs. Absolutely. Matthew, yes. I grew up in I grew up in Pasadena, which is on the other side of Houston than Katy. And I remember living, and so Pasadena, Texas is probably 30 minutes away from the Gulf. And I remember that I could dig a shovel down in the ground and water would come. Like I was a kid. I was a kid in my backyard. I don't know why I keep coughing. Hold up. Oh, wait, I'll get some water in a moment. But I would dig I would probably dig, I don't know, what is that? Maybe 3 feet down. 3 feet down. And water would start accumulating at the bottom of the hole. And I thought that was normal. I thought, oh, that's what you do. Like whenever you dig a hole anywhere, water comes in. I had no idea. No clue. Hi. Kelly's here. Is the baby here? The baby's here. Okay, she'll be here in this moment. Hey, could you give me some water? Or that, or one of those? That'd be great. And so anyway, I don't know why I'm talking. Oh, because Matthew said about a shallow water table. So absolutely. Okay. So then Michelle says a tractor would absolutely have been a priority to know. A tractor would absolutely be a priority to us, knowing what we know now. 100%. Okay. Martin says any tractor is sexy. I like it, Martin. That makes sense. I love any tractor. Okay. It's very well placed timing for my wife coming.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I look like I came out of the rain.
You did great.
Because I came out of the rain.
We showed them. This is not the best picture of me. It makes me look a little old.
Say you're 40.
Okay. So let's do this.
You look old because you are old.
Yeah. Everybody say hi to Georgia. She's gotten big, y'all.
She's hanging.
She's gotten big.
Tired.
Okay, Rafe, Bo, I recently hired a realtor in Bourne, Texas. Awesome.
Bernie, babe. You're a Texan. That says Bernie. I'm so sorry, Ray.
I'm also dyslexic, so I'll totally throw myself under the bus. I'm like,
but that was great because you never use that excuse.
Nah, Bourne. It looks like, isn't that how the Bourne
There are
spells?
a lot of very confusingly spelt.
That's a bad one. That does not look like Bernie.
It is Bernie.
Okay. She specializes. Okay, I'm probably.
Okay. So she specializes in panned and off-grid living areas. I don't know what panned is. Maybe land. Probably land. Sorry. She stated average closing costs are $6,000 to $8,000. Does that sound right for your acreage? So you're just talking about the closing costs in general.
Oh, closing costs.
Well, that's usually going to be based on what your realtor is going to charge for closing costs. So the buyer always pays closing costs, at least
for both.
Yeah.
No. Does it?
Or
the seller?
No, I thought the buyer paid closing costs, but you know what? We are not realtors, so this is not our expertise. But I don't think that sounds very crazy. And I don't know if it's per acreage. I think it's like for the deal. So either a percentage on your acreage or it is per the deal. But that does not sound crazy to me.
Evidently it's the buyer who pays the closing costs.
Yeah, we had a lot of closing costs.
Not that much. That's high.
I don't know.
That's high.
It depends on what your realtor's doing because you have to have a realtor.
Ray, I would.
You don't have to, but I would recommend.
I would check with another realtor and ask them that question. Like, send them a property and say, hey, this property is showing that it is
For
this
sale.
amount of closing costs. Also, you can also contact the title company, because that's a part of the closing costs, is because you're paying the employees of that title company to be able to do all that. You're also
they need to make sure that
well,
it doesn't belong to
now
someone.
also it completely depends on how big of a property you're talking about. Like if you're talking about a 500-acre piece of land, yeah, because you're paying the percentage of that in closing to the realtors.
I thought closing costs is a not a flat rate. It's
yeah,
like
I think it is
of the property.
Yeah, so it depends. Maybe that's the number one question is, Ray, it depends on what size property you're talking about and how much it costs. Okay, because I would assume for a house, it's like, yeah, you're gonna get up there for like a nice house. Okay. Let's see. By the way, everyone watching should like it. Yes, Jerry, thank you so much. Like the video. We'd be give us a thumbs up for Georgia. How about that? Because she's cool, and when you say her name, you just get Southern. Okay. Matthew says mainly they are useful because of the PTO and attachments, while keeping a narrow profile to fit through gates. You're talking about the smaller ones? I guess so. Yeah. The subcompact, like the lawnmower.
I guess it depends on your gates.
Yeah, I mean, we can probably fit 2 of our tractors through our front gate. So I know that I am right at that limit of like, I would like a little bit more power, but I don't want to pay for it. So that's where we are. So that's why
that's how you should make all your decisions. How much can I get away with not paying for something, but still be glad that I got it?
Totally. Which is why the Kubota L2501 is the most sold tractor in the country, is because it really does fit that price point and that power perfectly. Like nobody's competing with the L2501 because they're competing with the smaller ones or the much bigger ones. I can understand why you would want a bigger tractor. It makes sense. Okay, Michelle says, started several years ago and then quit. Recently got it again simply for the garden and building stuff. Yay.
Great.
I love it. That's great. I think you were talking about Mother Earth News, because I was asking about Mother Earth News. Let me go back. That messed me up. Okay.
You went far. Let's check in the comments.
Okay, something happened. You're talking about, okay, so then Jerry says Mother Earth News magazine is still around. Maybe they went under?
If they went under, it would have been in like the last 2 years.
Yeah. I know they had to cancel a thing. They
canceled a conference.
Yeah, because of COVID. And then
everybody was canceling at that time.
Exactly.
So I don't know if they picked back up. I feel like maybe they have, but I don't think they went under.
Jerry says, Pasadena? No, that's in Southern California. Well,
another one of those Texas towns.
There's at least 2 of them because I'm born and raised in Pasadena, Texas. Yes, there is a Pasadena in California. I've never been there, but yes, I know that from the movies. But there's also we call it Stinkadena because that's where the Shell refineries is right there.
The more you know.
Yes. Through the gumbo. Hey, now that Matthew's here, I'm going to ask you a totally random question. Anybody, male or female, that is here, please put in the chat, should I buy a Pit Boss pellet grill, the 850? A Pit Boss pellet grill. Let me know in the comment. Is that a stupid purchase? I just thought of Matthew because I know that Matthew likes to grill, to barbecue. Oh, to smoke stuff. Okay. Through the gumbo to the water table was only 2 feet. Yep, that makes sense. We're talking about how easy it is to get water down there. Matthew says, hi, Kelly.
Hi, Matthew.
Okay. Matthew's adorable. Matthew's taking all the credit. Okay, where is...
Where is Bernie? It's in the hill country. So it's kind of like San Antonio-ish area.
Okay, so Race, she stated for closing and like $2,000 for insurance. Well,
I mean, we're not professionals in real estate, so I wouldn't know much about closing costs. But I would say if you're buying land, go with a realtor who knows land. And there's no shame in, if you can't find it with one, go find another realtor who deals in land. So if you're not happy with the realtor and what they're giving you, you are like, I think sometimes it can feel like disloyal to switch in the middle of like something that someone has offered you. But truly, there are sometimes you just get in with a realtor and y'all don't mesh. And I feel like more people would have a better experience with real estate if they'd be willing to just like switch it up, because I think it can be frustrating, you know, when you're trying and trusting the experts, but they just don't come through. So if you feel uncomfortable about it, you also get to be that customer who exercises the right to go work with someone else. So if you're just not sure, I would keep looking.
Matthew says that a lot of things have changed, and so maybe real estate has changed too. In terms of maybe just everybody's like, yeah, you know, with all the low interest rates that they did have, maybe all the fees went up, and now the interest rates going up, the fees still haven't had a time to regulate the market to come back down. So it's a very good question. Kelly and I have not bought a piece of property. We haven't done any real estate since 2018 when we sold our house, and we bought this property in 2015. So we haven't even looked at anything. We've been trying to do this.
We haven't been shopping for property in 7 years.
So, I mean, yeah. Okay, so Life and Bee. I'm going to let you take this one.
Is it easier to buy land with a partner, or do you think it can be done alone? If you're in a relationship partner, I say yes, please do that together. I highly recommend it. If you're
married,
there are partnerships that work, but Bo and I have found more often than not in the amateur partnership business, meaning like people who don't normally do business with one another, that the only ship that really works is an actual ship. Partnerships fail. Friendships can fail. Relationships can fail. And so a partnership with money involved, unless you guys are really good at business, which is great. If you're not really great at business, then I would recommend not going in on a partnership. Maybe take the land and divide it. Like one of you buys it and the other buys it from them.
So now in your video last Friday, you did talk about like getting a group of people together.
Yeah. In that case, what I would recommend is very clear, what would you call it? Very clear expectations. Because if you're going in on land with someone who's just like, hey, me and my partner bought 10 acres. You guys kind of need to know who's going to go where. That's something that can get really exciting when you think, oh, look, we're all just going to pool our money and buy acreage. But if you don't have, I was trying to figure out this.
Why is everything not doing what I want it to do? This is so embarrassing.
If you don't
Life with a baby.
If you don't have good expectations, either on paper, which I would, if we had bought this with friends, I would have certainly put that on paper. So that you don't get there and then again the relationship fails, then who's going to take the property? There's just a lot of downsides. So I'm not recommending go it alone and never get in on land with somebody. But what might be the easier thing to do is have someone pay for the full property and then you buy part of it from them. Or if you guys are pooling your money, then you're really clear about who's going where beforehand so that you just don't end up with sour tasting Thanksgiving at the end of the day. Like if you have to be in a room together and it's going to taste bad to be in the same room, I would not recommend that.
Yeah. Dave Ramsey says what Kelly was, she was so close.
I was so close.
The only ship that doesn't sell is a partnership. That's a Dave Ramsey line. So my thought with what Kelly said in the video last and what she's talking about now is that is really just if you're this free-flowing thinker.
And a lot of people are.
If you're like, you know what, man, I just want to live on some land. and I don't have money, and I'm probably not going to have money, and it doesn't matter to me, because honestly, like, there's a realization to that gives you power of like, go for it, rock on. If you can just be a nomad, that's awesome. So, but if you're like just wanting access to land, then really what you're doing is you're coming together in a group as a partnership, and you're really being okay that you're going to have a whole bunch of bosses that are telling you what to do, and you have a little bit of a vote in there, but you're wanting a job on land. And there's a lot of cool things. Like, I mean, you could probably even also come up with and find investors. Like, if you found 100+ acres in like supreme excellent property, then that has like a river that goes through it, some climbing mountains or something like, you know, in Texas, like a Wimberley. Like, if you had 100 acres somewhere in pretty Wimberley, or like any of our Texas Guadalupe rivers or something like that, that would be super cool, that you could use that land and come together and have an investor. You have some tiny houses out there and really make it like a resort, but yet you're just an employee there that has maybe an acre that you can do.
Different than a homestead.
It's so different than a homestead, but that's the only way that you can get access to land without money. But you're going to work so many hours even trying to figure out how to get that deal going, when you could just take a second job and save up money and buy yourself a little 3 to 5 acre piece of property.
Well, I think it depends on what you're asking. So if you're just asking, like, is it wise? You know, partners, how well do you know that person? Maybe treat it more like, maybe our real advice on this is more, treat that like a job interview. Is this the kind of person you would want working with you? Dave Ramsey is very much good on this principle. We've applied it to everything that we've ever done with other people, is to be slow to hire and quick to fire. And so if there's something sketchy, I would rather cut bait on a big purchase like land with someone than ruin a relationship. But that's because I'm super duper relational. And so it would be really sad to me to lose a relationship over something like that. But I think that, like what Bo's suggesting, is how can you get on the land? If that's your priority, the most eager thing, then you're probably willing to do most anything to get there. So there are probably very few people I would feel more like, hey, let's partner with this financially. But there are also very close friends of ours that we've said, our property is your property. If you guys need to move somewhere out of the city, come stay with us. If you guys want a getaway and you're so stressed at your job, please come stay with us. So there are lots of ways where I am in no way unhospitable or shutting the doors on that. I just have probably different expectations than someone else about what we'd want to do with our property.
Okay. Let's see. Let me come back up here. Okay, so Michelle asked, did you all drill a well, or did you use the pipes that you can drive straight into the ground? We do not have a well. We do have city water. I was talking about, if Kelly and I were to ever buy another property, one of the things that I would be a high priority was to have an already working well on that property, to where I can inspect it. Like, if we ever moved, it most likely would have a house on it. We would just, with all of our kids, it's just something we're like, hey, we've done all the building houses. I'm done.
We don't have a well. We haven't dug a well.
So,
it's
but
kind of not profitable where we live.
But our neighbor, I talked a little bit about wells earlier. Our neighbor is trying to do a well, like hand dug well. So maybe I'll make a video of that if he does it.
We'll learn something and share it with you guys.
Okay, let's keep on going. Man, it's still okay. You talking about so you said men, Mother Earth News. I have a joke that what was it? It was called the Mother Earth News Workshop or something. Mother Earth News, I don't know, but it was something. I was like, we're going to the men workshop. I just thought that was funny whenever we went to that thing. Sorry, Kelly's not.
I feel like you might want to.
Kelly's not thinking that my joke is funny. Okay, just saying that is still around. Here we go. Okay, Matthew's still just under half an acre in the subdivision here. A subcompact might be ideal, especially. Oh yeah, for sure. If that, I mean, that's really, but it's so expensive, Matthew. They're so expensive, those subcompacts.
But that's up to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Well, but no, I'm saying like, yeah, it's not the finances because you almost pay just as much for the subcompact as the compact. It's whether or not you need that particular machine for your place.
Financially, you'll spend money on it.
Sure, deal. I do agree with anything. Okay, let's keep on. Okay. Okay, I knew that there was one. Okay, Matthew says, which Pit Boss model are you looking at? I think it's the 850. Smoking low and slow. And what do you? Yes, we want to do it all. We want to smoke low and slow, brisket and pork butts, but then we also want to grill some hamburgers. So let me know. I think it's the Pit Boss Pro Series 850, I think.
Okay, let's check out Josiah's question.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to you.
Okay. So Josiah, you said that I want to move out of the Cali suburbs and move to a new state with good farmland. Any advice for someone who's buying land for the first time and moving with no experience? Well, speaking of buying your property for the first time, Bo and I have been knee deep this week in our course creation. So we're writing a course. It's actually halfway done, called Get Off Your Tail and Homestead. So some of you guys actually let us know here in the comments. Let us know if you guys have already read Get Off Your Tail and Homestead. This is something we wrote way back in the suburbs when we were looking for a property, when we were figuring out how we were going to get here because of this question, Josiah. The number of people that we have asking us, how do we buy land? How do I talk to my spouse about getting on board with this whole thing? How do I convert a shed to a house? How do I take the next step is really what everyone is asking. So yes, you have a lot of advice anywhere on the internet like we found. Finding it here, our advice is just set your priorities. And we go over this in the course. What are your non-negotiables, the things that you have to have? And for some of you listening, it's I actually need to be near a hospital within like 20 minutes drive. Or you have a job that you're driving into, you need to be able to get to that. You have a community, a church, whatever is important to you. You want mountains. You won't live anywhere without mountains. Then you find that place and you decide how far you are willing to commute to that non-negotiable thing or things, right? Maybe you just really love a Starbucks and cannot live without it. I highly recommend getting a really fancy coffee maker. But if you can't live without a Starbucks,
so see my Instagram.
Find it, and then basically you start drawing a circle around it. Like you could get a literal map, pinpoint exactly what is non-negotiable to you, and then draw kind of a radius away from that. If you're willing to drive 15 minutes, if you're willing to drive an hour, for us, our closest true hospital is about 30 to 45 minutes away. And that was okay with us. Like we were okay being that far. What we wanted to be was within driving distance, like not even half a day of all of our family members who are in this state. And so that's how we found our property was we were in almost equal distance driving from family members that live all around the state. So that's what I recommend first is find your non-negotiables and then begin looking from there. So within that circle, then you'd start to look for us. We wanted unrestricted property. Maybe you have specifics that you really need to be by. Maybe it's a body of water. And so everything else falls below the line if one of your non-negotiables is a body of water. So you're going to find in that circle where the body of water is, and then you're going to begin looking in that area. Hopefully, you can just find it easily, but I think a realtor is your best aid, one who deals in rec land or raw land. You'll find this just by Googling in that area. So you really got to start with what's not negotiable at all and then work down from there to find that specific property. For some of you, 2020 made your life so easy and you're working remote, so you could work anywhere. And I would say, man, start looking at places where land is cheap. Google cheap land USA. You're going to find all these different websites that help you search all over the nation to find a really great property.
Okay. I thought this one was probably in the same vein of what you were just talking about. I'll look for it and I'll put it up. But he said, would you recommend someone buying with family? Paul.
Oh, if you like your family, yeah.
I would say it depends. Like, it totally depends. And that's only just because we don't know your family. But yes, I will say this. We have, for the last 2 years, have been hinting and lightly
straight up said, hey, do you guys want to buy property? We're looking to buy a bigger property. Our dream is that we would be able to find property adjoining and be able to just expand our space. But yeah, my personal view is, yes, I would love to buy property with my family because we like our family, right? So if you like your family, don't be afraid to say, hey, I'd really like to go in on searching for property together. And then your non-negotiables then kind of expand. And so you might have a harder time finding this ideal property. But I think also you could find property you want, share it with them. I think there's nothing wrong with that, because the idea of legacy living absolutely involves more than just you.
Love it. Okay, let's go start here. Okay, Paul says it's his mother-in-law. I mean, so I would assume
with my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
You'd live with yours.
Yeah, absolutely. The coolest thing. So we have a few friends in our homeschool group that they live on land with their parents.
Yeah.
And it's a really
super cool
thing.
They all have their own spaces. They don't live in the same house. They just have even their own gardens and like activities that they do. And their property isn't super duper huge.
No, but
it's just big enough.
But like they each have probably their own 1 acre of like, this is our space. And then the rest of it is just shared space. It's really, really cool. I love the way they live together. I don't know how often you're going to have the outdoor shower, so you'd have to.
Maybe you just put a couple extra sides on it.
Yeah,
maybe a door.
A door, yeah, it's more than ours. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Let's see.
Good job, guys. You got her to sleep.
Oh,
we're nice and relaxed.
Okay, where are we at? Okay, nobody's putting anything in all caps, so it's hard for me to see. But I think a couple of y'all have. Let's find.
So if we haven't answered your question and you want to like retype that in a large one, in a large font, that'd be great.
Ooh, you're barista. Okay, so what? I guess you have a
Paul.
barista.
Paul, you're just commenting on.
Here we go. Hold on.
You might not need a coffee shop because you too could.
Hold on. I got to take that off.
You could make your own coffee.
Let me take
that off.
Hide that. I'm going to show you. This is the first time that I've ever made something cool. So you see that little cup right there?
Tell what it is, right? Tell
Look,
if you can tell.
I did it. It looks like
not like a butt.
It looks like a heart butt. I love your butt. I love you, butt. So anyway,
it's much improved from the ghosts.
It's so much better.
And the other day I posted one of yours and someone said, "Is that a chicken?" It was not. It was a practice art.
I'm trying my hardest to learn the latte art.
Better than I can do.
Yeah, latte art. Trying. I mean, we're having a video come out and one about how we use our raw milk, and that's one of the things is the lattes. Like, we have so much milk that we were just like, let's do different things with the milk. Let's make ice cream and latte art.
Today we had lattes and we made ice cream.
Okay, Matthew,
and butter.
Going on the barbecue, the smoker, the 850 is a good choice. Looking on Lowe's website, you can step up to the 1150 for about. I think the thing that we're looking at with this one, it says it does give you a larger cooking surface, yes, but you got to remember. Tiny house, tiny space. We're going to fit it on the back porch, which is only 10 foot. We really use our outdoor living space so much.
The deck's kind of like extra rooms.
Yeah.
So when it's when it's 107 by noon, you try and figure out how can we bear the heat, all of us inside. And that's certainly a way that we expand that space. Can I click on the next one down?
This one?
Yeah. So this is great. Major Hook, you shared that you got your realtor license in Texas and feel like it might not have been a good time to get it now. I want to encourage you. I really think that in all of the times of wanting to create additional income, or maybe this is your primary job, there is so much that you can do. I know I keep coming back to this course, but right now we're writing a course on how to get out of the city or the suburbs and move on to the homestead. This is based on an ebook that we wrote before we had ever even made the move. I think before we had ever even decided on converting a shed to house and moving forward with that direction on YouTube. But look at what this is now. And that's all because we just started something that we knew was the next step. So getting your real estate license might not be like your major sale right now, but that next step is a habit. And if you're in the habit of taking next steps, then you're in the habit of creating change in the life that you want to build. So be excited that you just did a major thing. It's not easy to get your real estate license. My sister did this in Texas, so I know that this is very hard. So congratulations on taking a badass move into the life that you're creating for yourself, because staying stuck is the hardest. It's the most comfortable, but it's actually the most difficult thing to do, is just stay still and never change. You are made for change. You are wired to be growing and developing and learning. And when you get stuck and still is the most boring thing that you can ever do. So even you guys in the comments, having these conversations is an awesome mindset shift into where you want to be. So some of you guys are already homesteading. Some of you are just starting this conversation. These are the things that spark fires. So keep sparking fires in your own life. Stoke them by getting a new certification, by learning something different, by becoming your own barista, whatever it is. I told Bo, you're going to love doing coffee because it's one thing that I know he will not monetize. His whole life is like something that he can
I'm going to figure it out
so that he can have more income. But coffee is just going to be about coffee, I think. And
I got to get a lot better before I can make money.
You'd have to be so much better. But I think that growing and doing something new and creating a new spark that burns into something fantastic is absolutely my encouragement to anybody listening tonight.
Okay. I saw several of these. Okay. I know that we're getting close, and I know that this one is going to be tough on you to be able to wrap it up fast.
Oh, Lakota, I'm not the girl. You like Bo will be so positive, guys. Bo will always be the person who's like, well, let's look at this from all angles, and I'm just kind of like, y'all, stop convincing people to do things. If you want someone to be excited about what you're excited about, then show them that you're excited about stuff and be a helper and a servant to them in ways that they can feel seen and heard. So if you're just trying to get random people involved, I'm like, don't even mess with them. They're never going to agree with you. Just move forward.
It's not random. It's what? Oh, sorry.
If you're trying to get a spouse involved and you have not filled that spouse's tank, that's where you need to start. You need to start loving the person that you've been given to love in the way that they need to be loved. It's not manipulative. It is if you guys can't have a conversation and see eye to eye about where your future is headed, then you guys need to be present now in the life that you've got. And that just means honoring their needs, honoring who they are. This is impossible for me to talk about without addressing like how God has wired marriage. And it's for us to die to ourselves so that we can become more like Jesus. And that's just like the bottom line of it. If that can be at the heart of your marriage, then you guys can shed the house, you can RV, you can go wherever you're supposed to go, because you're going to do it out of like excitement and not fear. But a lot of times getting on board with someone's dreams is scary, because I would have to let go of my own thoughts about what our future would look like in order to follow Bo's. But when we've built trust over time, what you're looking at now is, 14 years almost of marriage and 18 years of being together. That's a lot of failure that he's let me have and still loved me through. And it's a lot of failure that he's had, and I've still loved him through that. And that's relationship and trust, that you can't just convince someone to go ahead and move to the woods in a shed alone.
I'm going to add a little, she's 100% right.
Sauce on it.
Just a little bit, because this is what I did. You cannot push a rope. Well, that's what you're asking. Whenever you say, how do I convince my spouse to do anything? You're like, hey, how do I push a rope? You can't do that. You cannot. You can only pull a rope. You can only use some kind, like you got to read How to Win Friends and Influence People. You got to be able to figure that out. Not to say.
And I'm like, no, have a conversation over the table and say, I realized I want to do this thing, but we've got some work to do together. And that person will feel partnered with. That person will feel included. That person will feel like you guys can get on the same page about your life before you try to move on, bringing them with you.
Which is why 100% she is right. When you're there and you're trying to bring up a very extremely crazy idea, you have to paint some sort of picture. You have to know, like, I would even say just watch Food Inc. Like, start with some, like, do some, it's called recreational companionship. Start dating your spouse. Buy your favorite meal and say, hey, I just want to watch this movie with you. And it's very low key. It's just to even see, like, if you watch Food Inc. with your spouse and they don't agree, they don't like have some sort of realization of what is wrong with our food system, it's not the right time. Yeah, maybe.
It doesn't mean it's a never. And I really do think that this is. So what are we going to do with the lofts with our kids when they're too big for the lofts is the number one question. And this is the second question. How do I convince my spouse? Because you might see us sitting here, but you haven't seen the last 18 years of work of working on our marriage, our relationship, our language, our communication, so that we can have hard conversations about life.
I once asked this question in a YouTube video comment. How do I convince my wife to homestead? I've asked that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that none of that worked. None of the ideas or advice that anyone could give except go home and love your family well. And when you can love your family well and be content wherever you are at the sort of like first step or the very foundation of what you actually want to build. Because if you have a family, you want to build with them. You want to create this life. You can see something that maybe they just can't quite envision yet. And you'll never convince them enough that that vision is for them unless you're for them right where you are. Okay, Josiah asks, I'm completely new to this channel. How long did it take from finding out you wanted to move out of the suburbs to actually getting out?
That's good timing, Josiah.
Well, there are several stories that are probably a whole nother conversation. Like, we should do a video on how do we talk to our spouse about homesteading.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of arguing that we had, a lot of conversation about being content or discontent. And so the very first homestead-ish thing that we ever did was a garden, and that started in 2013. But the garden very metaphorically represented our life. And as the garden grew, then our life shifted away from like, oh, look, what if I grew tomatoes and then didn't have to buy tomatoes this year? What if we ate seasonally? So it wasn't just eating from the garden, but what could we grow right now? Okay, if we can't grow it, can we buy that? And then not buy things that aren't in season. So that began a mindset shift. And then 2015, we bought this property. And then 2017, we had our 4th child, and 2018, we moved out of the suburbs to build on our property. So that's like the timeline. But I think there were many, many little micro decisions along the way that were always working toward this alternative. It wasn't what we saw in the suburbs. So, as our friends were expanding and growing into what they envisioned as their like retirement homes, like really large homes in the suburbs, that was what they wanted, but it wasn't what we watched that and we're like, I'm so happy for you. And that's not what I'm wired for. So this life is not for everyone. Homesteading is not for everyone. Me on my own, homesteading is not for me. Us together, homesteading is awesome. But I think that the idea of moving out of the city into the suburbs, for some people could be like a really quick switch. But for us, it felt quick. It didn't feel like a slow burn, but maybe it is for you.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to go after this question because Kelly loves to talk about gardening, and we got to get this baby to bed and kids fed and all the animals fed as well. So
hungry is what you're saying.
After we just had,
you're hungry, maybe.
I am hungry. After we just had a little bit of a blessing of a shower, just a little sun shower.
Gosh, you guys, I could cry right here thinking about the rain we just got. So what's the question?
What are we growing in our garden right now? Because he finds it hard to picture that.
Oh,
and
Jerry. So the very quick answer is nothing.
What? No.
The more detailed answer is it feels like nothing. But there are some really cool things that we actually even put in motion last year. Our passion flower is growing, and it's even doing okay in the heat. I didn't know that it would do that.
Drip irrigation.
Yeah, drip irrigation systems. You must do systems if you want to scale up. So we have drip irrigation in our main garden, which is like 2,000 square feet. It's the size of our old house. And we made a major swap. And in the garden, the passion flower is a perennial, so that came back. And it grows fruit. I don't know if the fruit ever ripens, but it grows fruit. We have berries that are really, really fried crispy. They are like the berries grow, and then before they ripen, so they are not delicious yet.
So we have blueberries, blackberries.
And they're not on drip.
No.
Then we have strawberries, which were, hello. The strawberries, they came back this year, which is great. And we have peppers that we put in this year. A lot of
peppers, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of peppers.
The herbs came back this year, so rosemary and lemon basil, and I think there's dill in there, and maybe someone else. Oh, mint, tons of mint, which is great.
Got some sweet potato.
Loofah is growing. So
the cows don't like the loofah leaves.
I know I'm saying nothing, but what I mean is all of that is stuff that we set in motion with the exception of the peppers and the sweet potatoes. And then we did a really smart thing, which was set the garden to sleep. A lot of our northern friends who are listening will be like, oh yeah, we do that in the winter. Well, we did that in the summer. And it actually turned out to be really smart. So we tarped a lot of the garden and covered it so that we could plant for the fall. And last week I was so excited. Hey, let's get planting for fall. And Bo was like, babe, whatever you put in, as soon as that little green sprout comes out, it's gonna be scorched earth. So we're still delaying what the fall garden looks like. And we have no idea what the weather will do. It might go from 110 down to like 50. We don't know. But that is our plan for the future. The garden is so amazing. And I'm so thankful that Bo had the forethought to say, hey, you're having a baby. You're not going to do anything in here. And then it was so hot that it was just done. Yes, we do have the purple Jerry, and we have a crimson red too. They're really cool.
Okay. That was so. I'm glad that you came because I always flub. It's just you're better. You're better.
Great. No,
we're better together. Yes. Okay, so I put a link there. Please definitely check out United Portable Buildings Shed 3D Shed Builder. United Portable Buildings 3D Shed Builder. Go check that out. That is in the chat. And hey, shame. I think it's a shameless.
Ooh, did you
shameful.
show that? Yeah.
Yes.
It's way cool.
Go
Speaking of
and
gardens.
go check out the
shirts are on sale. Yeah. They're in shirts, and somebody bought a sweatshirt, so you must be colder than
I know.
But there's a lot of cool new merch in the shop, and you'll see some things coming down the way that we're really excited about.
Woohoo! Okay, we love you guys. You are awesome. We'll see you next time. Bye.